Yo, what's up, everybody? Storm Talking Movie Reviews. I got David, I got Jackson, I got Messiah, Christian popped in and out, so hopefully I'll get the little edit of him in there.
So it was an exuberant movie. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about Soul. Spoilers. We're just gonna spoil the movie, so let's get into it.
I thought it was pretty good. After I finished it, I was like, dang, that was a really good movie. And like throughout the whole thing, it was like really well animated and everything. It was actually a really dope movie.
The animation on that joint was top tier. I have never seen black people done so beautifully in animation before.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like the Barber Shop scene, like that joint was so satisfying when he was getting the little edges and stuff like that. Like that man crispy.
That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. The fact that the cultural representation was just so on point. Even though it's Pixar and it's not like a black-owned business or a black-owned corporation or anything, but you can tell that they took in consideration the culture and they had people that knew about like black culture, and you could see that straight reflected in the movie, not in any perverse type of way, not in any like whitewash type of way that stuff usually is. It was like it seemed like a real genuine reflection of what like the black experience, you could say. That was dope.
Because you had the Barber Shop, and then you had jazz. Oh, and they actually played like when he was playing on the piano, those were real chords.
Yeah, I bet you Jamie himself was playing them.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then when she was playing the saxophone, you could actually hear the little tippity taps of the keys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you call those? Pedals, buttons. Dang. So a lot of people were scared about this movie because you have movies like Spies in Disguise and The Princess and the Frog, which had like a black lead that wasn't black for the entire movie. Like they were changed into a frog or into a pigeon the whole time, and they weren't able to, let their melanin show. But for this one, a lot of people were scared that he was going to be a blue blob for the entire movie, but they kind of put that on his head.
Like they did a pretty good job in balancing it out. He still changed, but they balanced it.
The way that
he still had the essence of himself.
Exactly. It's not like he completely changed character or anything like that.
And the culture wasn't divorced from it either. Like you could tell that the movie, it had the culture just infused within it. So you can't really accuse it of being like, it just took away.
I always like it when like the character is like not just like a character who is black, they're like an actual black character. Where it's not just like the skin color, it's actual like they're a black person and you can tell.
Yeah, for sure. Not like a character played by somebody else.
Exactly.
Because they've had that, like a whole bunch of black characters have been voiced by like Caucasian people or any other race people. Which I mean, it's not an inherently bad thing, but then like it's just kind of exasperating when you're looking for your culture's representation, but you can't find it anywhere because there's other people mouthpiecing your skin color.
Though I will say though, the cat, he did play the voice of the cat for a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
And the white lady did play the voice of the man for a lot of the movie. I mean, he still showed the man, but I guess you could still make an argument that it wasn't enough of him being himself.
Yeah,
I thought about that too.
So let's talk about that twist that they didn't show in the trailers, which I'm very happy about. They didn't show that twist in the trailer where he turned into the cat and she turned into him.
That was interesting.
Where I felt the movie started picking up steam for real though. So let's talk about that. Go ahead.
No, I feel like all Pixar movies have that. Like they have like some weird like kind of turn or something in the movie that they don't show you in the previews. That's like where the story actually happened.
When I first saw that, bro, I wasn't mad. I was just like, I was frustrated because I'm like, come on, they're gonna do this again. At first, I'm like they're gonna switch back, and with the way that they did it, I think what makes it different from the other movies is that even though it wasn't him that was voicing his own like character, you could see that he was the guy the entire time. For her navigating through the culture, and like, you know, it's showing her what like his perspective of human life was, and that's what made it genuine for me.
Like I really like when she was controlling his body, and one of my favorite scenes was when the little Korean girl or Asian girl, when she was just sitting on the steps with her, and she made her re-find her love for the trombone. That was really tough to me.
It's like she would convince herself out of her own passion. That was interesting. See, this story be bringing up a lot of regrets too, because
bro, like this is one of those movies that really just made me think, what is my purpose? What is that thing that I get in the zone for? You know what I'm saying? And then what is my legacy gonna be after I die?
They were showing like what all the people look like when they're doing like the thing that they really enjoy, and you're like transported somewhere else, which I think is so cool.
That visual representation of like the flow state. Yeah, that was cool. That's what's really cool about Pixar, is how they put these abstract concepts and like stick it with the visual representation on screen. And then even the way that the paintings were, well, not the painting, I say the paintings, but like they're called Jerry's, right? But yeah, I love their design, and I like read that they took inspiration from a Picasso art painting. But I think that it was awesome how they represented them, because like they were looking for something that was like otherworldly and not like intrinsic to our reality. So they chose like 2-dimensional beings to like live in a 3-dimensional space to usher those like new souls into like Earth. And that was cool. I just love how they made this otherworldly concept visually, like, I guess, follow, and that was cool. Yeah,
that was tough.
I thought it was really interesting how like this movie didn't really have like a villain. Like a lot of the other Pixar movies have like a distinct villain, and a lot of times you like see like, oh, the villain's not the real villain, it's actually like you're battling against yourself or whatever. But this one didn't even have like an actual villain to.
That's true.
Like, you know,
like they were trying.
If anything,
oh, go ahead.
Low key, he was the villain.
Low key though.
I thought Terry was going to be the villain, but he just ended up normal.
They were trying to make you think that he was going to be, but he was just a dude trying to do his job. One of the funniest things was when David Diggs' character accidentally fell into like the soul world or whatever. And he was in the fetal position.
Traumatized.
That was funny.
And it's funny is like how they were acting towards him was hilarious. They were everybody knows that guy. Even he said in the movie, he's like, "Oh, this guy," and like he's just the buzzkill. And every single time he would say something, he's just like, everybody's just like, he's just ruining everybody's fun, and that was hilarious.
Bro, the entire Barber Shop scene was almost completely flawless to me.
Yeah,
like you just had to do. He talked about like, but you were born to cut. It's like, nah, man, I had other dreams, but certain circumstances happened to where, you know, now I'm cutting hair, but I love it. You know what I'm saying? And that's really like a mirror on life, because we all of us, we're all in college. We all have dreams. We all have aspirations, but that might not necessarily be what our purpose is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
no, I always thought it was crazy. Like at so young, you're supposed to like know what you want to do for the rest of your life. That's like so intimidating.
It really is, and that's why a lot of college students change their major, not being able to explore other options. Like you have, like by 18, you have to know exactly what you want to do in life, and we're shuffled into a box. It's like, all right, you have to do this. You have to go to college by this age. You have to know what you're going to do by this age, and you have to start making money by 22. And it's like, you don't stop your brain doesn't stop developing until 25.
They say that like your brain doesn't even stop developing at 25. They said that the plasticity like kind of slows down, but then they're slowly, like every few years or so, they research again, and then they're like, oh, they find an exception. They're like, maybe your brain doesn't stop like developing, but it seems like there's always some room for like development. Like it was at first, it was like what, 18, and then it was like 20, and then it was 23, and then that's 25. Like it seems like they're constantly like researching and understanding it. Like the brain seems like even though there's less plasticity, there's still growth that happens and occurs in the brain. I don't want to like assert anything that I don't know, but it's interesting because what has been consistent is that the more the research that's been done on the brain, the idea that the brain never stops developing seems like a more consistent overarching thing. And then even the concept of meaning, I love the way this movie treated the idea of having your purpose be one set thing, because I remember one of the Jerrys said that you and you humans always like assigning meaning and your purposes and stuff like that, and then like just that line alone let me know that it's strictly like a human thing to like find purpose and meaning, but it seems like a misguided thought that like we are required to find one thing that interests us and then do it for the rest of our lives. Like it seems like as humans we go through life trying to find this one thing or trying to make sense of like why we're here. I think it's a great lesson to take from the movie that you're not really meant for a specific purpose. You're meant for whatever you want to be meant for, you know?
Life is what you want it to be.
And it's like, we don't have to be like confined to that box.
Yeah, no, I think the movie does a good job of showing that, like at the end where like you don't even get to see what he does with his life.
Like how
that was a nice touch.
You know, it's like you can literally do anything. It doesn't matter like what you feel that you like you should be, or like what direction you feel like you should be going in. You can kind of do whatever you want. And like with him not even knowing, and like with us not knowing, it's like, well, he could do anything.
So like at the climax of the movie, well, not so much the climax, but when she got her spark and the world passed or whatever, he was like, yo, what was it that set it off? And it wasn't so much like a talent or something that we all were led to think like, all right, so this person was born to play basketball, or this person was born to play the piano or something like that. That's their spark. The spark is just the will to live, which is a very nice touch. The will to just go down to earth and live life, which is,
and it can be in literally anything.
No, it's like because there's infinite decisions you can make. There's infinite ways that you can affect the world, and there's no like one way for any one person to do anything. I think the movie did a good job of showing that no person is just one thing. Like everybody is a whole bunch of different things that makes up a person. Like even though they each had their own like spark or whatever, they still have like a whole bunch of different things that goes into making up who they are. And then like I guess as you go along life, you can drop something and pick something else up, or choose to do something or not to do something else. And that like all together adds up to a person.
This is a good combo. This got more philosophical than I thought it was gonna be, but that's just the type of movie that it is. It wasn't like as a kid, I don't know if I would be into this movie for real.
Really?
Like there's not a lot of action.
I think this movie was more adult than a lot of the movies Pixar.
Yeah, it was.
Like, even though they all have like an adult theme, like each Pixar movie is a little bit like has something for the parents watching, but this one was like a lot of those type of themes.
It was, wasn't it? Because now that I think about it, this was like based on this dude's adult life and how he has spent his life like living for something else. Like he's living for that next thing. He's never in the moment and doing what he wants to do. And then once he got there, and it's once he got there, he was like, dang, I don't feel any different. And that's something that so many people like our age and above can just resonate with. And that's nothing. A kid would never grasp that because they haven't gotten to that point yet.
They still want to be like astronauts and fire. Not that's a bad thing or anything, but like reaching for everything. And that's low key. Like that childlike wonder is something that, I wish that a lot more people still had. That still there's infinite possibilities. Like people were like, okay, this is gonna be another Inside Out, but it wasn't, because it's
not even close.
It could have easily been, all right, so this man, he dies and he's just trying to live again. So they're like, if you can make it to beyond the great beyond. So he goes through all these places. There's this little ditzy sidekick who just, you have to remember, and she just, it's like like inside
And then
out.
at the very end, he gets to play at his
Yeah,
recital that he's been waiting on the rest of his life. And then you're just left with that empty, like, dang, that's just another mediocre movie I just watched.
Oh, bro, we gotta talk about that scene where he just lays like first he's trying to play, and then he takes off the papers and he just lays out the stuff that she picked up. Like that was one of the most beautiful scenes I have ever seen in my life. So like, you know how he put the bagel and the on top of when he was putting it on the piano where the music would be?
Yeah, I think so.
He put the bagel, the lollipop, and all that stuff down there. He just started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then he just started playing, and then it just showed like different parts of his life. That was one of the most beautiful scenes. I think that one rivals the up scene, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that, bro. I don't know.
Bro, when he was just feeling the music, you saw him with his dad. You saw the waves like brush up against his feet. It's like you saw this in his life, even though you've only spent like an hour with him and you've never seen any of these scenes before. It's like I felt that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he just feel like for the first time in his life, he's like feeling the essence of life itself.
Yeah, that was deep.
Spots, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that was the first time he had that block removed.
Yeah.
He was just living. He was going through the motions of living, but he wasn't living. And then that was the first time. The first time he came to the realization that he could live. Or that was the first time he lived, because it's not could live, it's the realization that he knew that he could live and he was living in that moment. Yeah. Dang, that's that. Yeah. Now that I think about it a little bit more, I see what you're saying, because the fact that it was that realization, because he realized, he was like, because the whole movie, he was going through the movie, he was like, I haven't done anything with my life. And my life is like so pointless and meaningless. I got to be somebody. But then that was the point where he realized, wait a minute, I had so much to live for, and I lived. Like, I've been living this entire time. It's only me taking this moment to realize that I was living. But what I was looking for, I had it all the entire time. I was just too like selfish and thinking of my own like personal goals that I couldn't like find what the true meaning of what brought me joy and happiness was. And now that was insane.
I think people are always talking about how it's like, it's the journey or whatever, and not the destination. Like he literally saw that. Like, I mean, he's spending all this time practicing, trying to get gigs and stuff, and then when he actually gets to play with Dorothea Williams and is like completed his like life dream, or exactly where he wants to be, he's like, it's not even that great, Yeah. It's like we're in college trying to get our degrees and stuff, and I'm sure like when we actually have the piece of paper or whatever, but like, yeah, this is cool, it's just a piece of paper. But really, you gotta like remember, the memories you're making.
And it's rough, because for a lot of people, bro, especially me, that message is so like pertinent, because I think about that type of stuff all the time. It's like I'm always thinking of the next thing and what I want to do and what goal I want to get to. But then like once I get there, what am I going to be feeling? Am I going to be feeling like, wow, I finally accomplished this? Or am I going to be like, dang, I'm still empty because I haven't found what I want? Like I'm not there yet. And it's like, at what point will I realize? Because it's one thing to talk about it, but it's a whole other thing to actually live it. Yeah. So it's like, at what point will I realize that I shouldn't be living for goals that I set for myself? I should be living right now.
Living just to live.
Yeah, as humans, we're so goal oriented. It's like, all right, we have to graduate middle school, we have to graduate high school, we have to go to college, or we have to enter the workforce. Then after that, we either get our degree or we enter the workforce. So it's like, it's one thing after another, and we never like stop to think about, well, have I lived, or am I just going through the motions? Because we put our purpose in our goals. Yeah,
like goals give you direction, but you shouldn't live just to achieve them.
Yeah,
true.
Like that like even though you have goals, those goals shouldn't be like your purpose of living. You should find your purpose of living in every single day.
Yeah.
And one thing about 22, we haven't really talked about 22, but I mean Tina Fey was actually surprisingly great.
Yeah.
I was surprised about that.
Yeah.
And I was nervous because I was like, it's gonna be another like ditzy side character.
Yeah.
But when they were just on the steps and she was just like, yo, look at all this stuff that I found, even though to us it's junk, to her it's just like enthusiasm for life. You know, that's when she really found her spark. And that's when she really decided that life was worth living. It's just like it's the little things. I know that a lot of people say it's the little things in life, but it really is the little things in life that give life meaning. So like the interactions that you make, like Joe never really interacted with anybody. He just, you know, talked about jazz because that's where he felt like his purpose was. That's what he felt like the definition of him was all he did was talk to his barber about jazz, even though, you know, his barber had a life that Joe never really asked about.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
I was impressed by Tina Fey too. I didn't realize she voiced the character until like halfway through, and I was like, who is that voice? But I liked her character. I think whoever wrote the movie did a good job with their interaction throughout. It was really good.
Yeah.
It never felt corny.
Yeah.
That's the thing with comedians. Because comedians, like, they'll get voice acting roles and then it'll just seem like they're just trying to get like a whole bunch of slapstick jokes in to like make the audience laugh. But with especially with this, like the movie overall, the comedy felt like really genuine and like fun. Like there was never a joke that didn't hit, and there was never a joke that like seemed like it was trying too hard. Like all of them was just really like casual, fun, and like that's the best type of humor, is like the ones where it's not doing too much and they're like genuinely good jokes and you can just laugh freely because it's not like trying to sell you. It's not like underselling you on anything. Like the plot's good, and you're invested in the storyline, but they're telling you some like it's still like humor infused to where it's genuine.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments was when she was telling Joe about all her different like mentors. So like she had Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that was funny.
It's like a lost cause. And it turned that back on its head when it's like you'll never amount to anything.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, that was just so smart. For something
she was using comedy to just that's crazy. Yeah. And it's so crazy because 22, her exterior from the very beginning was she was just this person that didn't care about anything. But it turned out all of these experiences that she had, nobody was looking at her like she was like a person. She was just seen as this person that can't be helped and this lost cause. And instead of dwelling on that and taking that to heart, she used humor to shield herself from all of that criticism. And she became, but what's funny is her personality was directly influenced by all of these things that they said. She was so jaded and so like negative and hard on like other people because other people didn't give her that chance. They wrote her off and thought that she was like a defective soul because she couldn't find her purpose. And it's funny because she was more genuine than all of them, but in that she wasn't looking for a regular purpose. She was just looking for the enjoyment in life and did not find it. They were all looking for one particular thing that they could boil up they could sum up their entire being to. I think in terms of message, this is probably the best Pixar movie.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I think so.
I feel like it hits a lot deeper than most of the other Pixar movie. Maybe I'm saying it hits deeper because it's a message that more people need.
Yeah.
But like with other messages, they're still important, but it doesn't apply to everybody else. Like this movie seems much more universal.
I think the reason that it feels that way is because with a lot of other movies, there's like there's the big action plot and there's like the subtext of like what's actually happening. You know, like with this movie, it's him trying to get back into his body to play the show. But then like the subtext is him figuring out what his life purpose is. But then in a lot of the other Pixar movies, like with Nemo, there's like this huge, chase, and it's like he's trying to find his son throughout the whole ocean. There's a lot of adventure. And obviously, like with The Incredibles, there's a whole lot of action scenes and fighting and stuff. But there's none of that in this movie. Like even the main action part of the movie is still really not that intense. So it allows you to really feel the subtext of what's happening the whole time, which I think is probably why it feels like the message is so elevated.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this will be a rough one.
This monstrosity that we have right here.
Because it's hard. It's not easy.
I don't think it's S tier, and I also don't think it's A tier. Even though it's so well written and it operates on so many levels, I think it's just not I don't know, like grand enough. It feels really small. The whole movie feels really small. Like it operates kind of in the way that Brave felt really small to me, in that there's no real I don't know, sense of gravity or like adventure really. It feels like the stakes are so small and they like exchanged adventure for message, which I think works for the movie but still leaves it a little flat.
I think it's funny because I say that this is an A-tier movie just because of the way like it's just in reverse. Like I like that it's like quote unquote flat, but I guess to say it a little bit less like in a negative way, I like that it's simplistic in its delivery of the message. I think the simplicity is what makes it such an amazing movie, is that it doesn't really rely on cheap thrills and like heavy action to engross the audience in the movie. It already has the audience like drawn to it strictly because of the plot and the messages that it has to send. And I mean, I'd say it's A tier too, because I think it's on par with like a lot of those movies on there. Like I think it beats Cars. I think it beats Brave for sure, even though I think Brave is way too high. And then Up, I love Up, but I think it's better than Up.
It's similar to, for me, it's like Coco, WALL-E, Soul. You know what I'm saying? Like all of them are on the same plane for me. Even though I think WALL-E should still be S tier, but
I mean, I think Soul beats WALL-E, but that's just me personally. And I haven't seen Coco.
I don't know,
so I can't say nothing about it.
All right, but
I think Soul might beat Monsters University though. It might be just because I don't like the Monsters movies all that much. But I think Soul's definitely better than both of them.
Monsters U was really good, but
Monsters U was good, but I think that Soul is better. All right, so now we gotta make a decision now. It's not letting me pull it back. We can no more thinking. This is where I think it should go. That's where I think it should go.
You know what?
I'm happy with that, man.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. That too.
Yo, this is Messiah, and if you enjoyed this convo, go ahead and like and subscribe. It helps to see the support. Peace.